Hello everyone, I'm Morgan from Mirage Networks and you join me today in London. I've come through to the L-Acoustics showroom in Highgate and Nick has just given me a demonstration of what they call the HYRISS room. This is a hyperreal audio experience where there are a multitude of speakers that are surrounding this room with subwoofers, overhead speakers, and L-Acoustics have designed their own spatial audio processing equipment, which enables us to be able to use a room for multiple different purposes. The primary goal, obviously, is that we want music experiences within our house, but we want to make sure that we're getting the most benefit and use out of them. Of course, in modern terms, there's a lot of talk, and you'll see that on my channel, we focus primarily on home cinemas because movie watching and shared movie experiences is something that I'm incredibly passionate about. However, what's been demonstrated to me today is the fact that we can use this room, which is really nice and large, and use it for everything from movie watching to hi-fi listening to making it into an actual nightclub. We were able to hit some nightclub level volumes of audio, and the speakers, which are the same throughout the whole room, are able to serve as multi-purpose, addressing them whether it be front of the room as our LCR and associated speakers, or on one side of the room so we can be able to experience what we would expect to be a concert-like experience. So I'm going to detail just a few small parts of this room, and I hope that if you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments below. But the whole outcome that I've experienced here today is a bit of an eye-opening, a bit of a new thought, a new experience where we have a room which many of us have in our houses where we could implement multi-speaker array and then be able to use the room for multiple different purposes. It's given me a completely different approach and mindset today to be able to experience this room, and I'm going to have to dwell on it a bit, hopefully come back in a few months time and share some more thoughts when I'm in here. But for now, I hope that you enjoy the little details that I'm going to share as I go around the entirety of the room. To start with, from a technical perspective, all of the speakers that are around this room are identical, and that gives us the ability to be able to pan the sound throughout the room and change the orientation. As looking at the front of the room, obviously we have the soca speakers left and right of the TV, but these speakers could be the surround left speakers if we are using the left side of the room as our primary viewing area. Maybe what you'd like to do is have a projection screen drop down with a projector, and now the speaker layout is going to change. For that reason, it was very important for the team at L-Acoustics to choose that the same speakers are laid out throughout the entire of the room. It was quite interesting as Nick panned the sound around the room. There was absolutely no drop off. It was a very smooth and linear change from one speaker to another speaker as the sound panned around. Paired to each of the soca speakers are the SB10 subwoofers. There are 32 of their subwoofers in this room. And so what we have is in the wall panels, we have the main speaker, and then the subwoofers are directly beneath them. Obviously, the benefit of more bass is that we're able to control, or more subs, we're able to control the bass a lot better with any room. And as you move around the entirety of the room, you do experience that the bass is even and consistent and impactful. Obviously, more subs gives more surface area, and you're able to get down to those deeper bass notes. When we had the demonstration of what a nightclub experience in this room could be like, it really was impactful, where you could experience that hard-hitting bass, but at the same time not being overwhelming. I could imagine having 30 or 40 or 50 people in this room and not having the drop-off of sound as you'd expect when you fill a room with underpowered speakers. Having briefly worked in installing nightclub audio systems in Cape Town about 20 years ago, we understood that the requirement for any nightclub is to have multiple speakers, but subwoofers was always an overthought. So you'd have one bass bin tucked away in the corner and hope that it's going to penetrate throughout the crowd enough, and that always was a bad experience. What we've seen here today is that certainly with the subwoofers, which are directly beneath each of the speakers, there's the even and consistency that as the music moves around the room, you're really getting that impactful and high quality bass. It's a little bit difficult to be able to portray in a video. However, I should make note that there are a total of 12 overhead channels which are spaced evenly throughout this room. And that obviously from a Dolby Atmos perspective or a spatial audio perspective enables really nice panning and movement of sound in the overhead. During a bit of a nightclub type scenario though, those speakers can obviously complement all the surround channels so that you really feel like you're within the music space in this room. Part of the audio demonstration in this room is to stand more or less where I've got the camera placed and listen to an orchestra. And there are several speakers that are behind me along this wall, and the envelopment of the orchestra playback is really incredible. The instruments are placed quite distinctly across the front soundstage, and it's very easy to be able to notice where the different instruments are coming from. It's very interesting to see that the soundstage is so broad and that you're able to get that real concert-like experience from within this room. One of the notable parts of this demonstration is that there are actually a whole bunch of TV screens. These are specific commercial displays which are integrated into the experience. So the intention that L-Acoustics have is that you give them a space which is similar to this, and they design every single detail so that you can have a room like this in your house, which of course is multi-purpose. You know, there's a seating area on the side, on the left-hand side, but the playback and the content comes through on the displays as well. So these are some commercial displays that tie into the whole experience, giving us that immersive audio-video surround sound experience. So in wrapping up, the summary that we have within this room is that the room is an ELISA surround sound experience, a spatial audio representation that L-Acoustics have designed and developed, which fits this room perfectly. There are many different aspects which Nick has run through, which this room needs to take care of, being acoustics, decor, layout, speaker locations, the way that the technology is integrated within this room. Of course, there's important technologies that are integrated here, like lighting control from Lutron, etc. But I think fundamentally what L-Acoustics have done is they've realized they can take charge of an entire room like this and deliver a repeatable result, which gives an incredible experience. Of course, there are other technologies that are required and other brands that are part of this. There's a Storm audio processor, Apple TV, Kaleidoscape, there's a Blue Sound music streamer. So those are parts of our source devices that give us this experience. But at the heart of this is the ELISA engine, which gives the ability to pan the sound as expected around the room, to be able to give us our immersive audio experience from Dolby Atmos, our nightclub type experience, and then also what I haven't really touched on is a wellness type experience. Some relaxing music that pipes through the room where you could do yoga, you could be able to use this room for a bit more of a relaxing type scenario. So I think overall, it's been incredibly interesting to see the way that this room has been deployed or designed and built. There's been incredible attention to detail. As I walked around the room and I looked at all the little trim details, it's really been finished off beautifully. And I think that's so critically important. We live in our houses every day. We want the best for ourselves. We also want to be able to make sure that we use the spaces to the best of their abilities. Having the speaker package in here and the way that it works within the room, having the technologies that we know and use so commonly, but having them at a high performance level where we're able to really enjoy the space to its maximum capabilities is something that I've never really thought of and I've never really experienced in this sort of way before. I would encourage that if you've got any questions or would like to know some more information about this room or what L-Acoustics does and what they stand for, please, my contact details will be in the description box below, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have about this. If the room and what they have achieved here is something that you'd be interested in for yourself or for one of your own clients, please feel free to reach out and get in contact. It would be something I'd be happy to assist with. If you've enjoyed this video and learned something about this, please like it, share it with somebody who's interested in what we do as an audio video sort of company. And of course, if you haven't yet subscribed, please, I'd encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I always enjoy coming out to interesting spaces and experiences like this, and I enjoy sharing them with everybody. So I'd like to have you along to be able to enjoy these with me. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video.